In the bustling city of Abuja, there lived a young tailor named Binta. Her little shop, Binta Magical Touch, was tucked on a busy corner. She was skilled and her hands moved quickly, but the competition was fierce. Other tailors offered cheaper prices, flashier styles, and louder advertisements. Binta dreamed of something more. One day, a customer shared a secret. "They say there's a mermaid in the river," the woman whispered, "who grants magic to those who come with a pure heart. She carries a needle that can sew clothes fit for kings and queens." That night, Binta lay awake, her mind racing. "A needle like that would change my life," she thought. "I could make dresses so beautiful that even famous people would want them." The next morning, Binta packed food, water, and her courage. She left her shop and made her way to the river, where the air was cool and mysterious. At the water's edge, she whispered, "Please, I've come to ask for the needle." The river was calm. Slowly, a figure emerged from the water, a mermaid with deep eyes like the ocean and a voice soft as silk. "You seek the needle?" the mermaid asked. Binta nodded. "Yes, I promise to bring it back." The mermaid hovered above the water, her silver hair flowing with the waves. She held a shining needle that glittered like sunlight on the river. "This needle is no ordinary tool," the mermaid said. "It will sew garments that never tear, shine like the moonlight, and fit perfectly." Binta's eyes widened. "That's exactly what I need." "But heed my words," the mermaid warned. "You may use it for 7 days. On the 7th night, return it to this river. If you fail, the river will claim what it is owed." "I swear," Binta promised, "I will return it." The mermaid placed the needle gently in Binta's hand. It felt cold, like burning ice. "Go now," the mermaid said, disappearing beneath the waves. Binta hurried back to town, clutching the needle tightly. That evening she began to sew. The first dress she created seemed to glow. The fabric flowed like water, and every stitch was flawless. Word spread fast. By the next day, customers lined up outside her shop. Binta Magical Touch was no longer just a shop. It was a place of magic. Binta forgot the mermaid's warning. By the 3rd day, her shop was crowded with women from all over Abuja, bringing money and fabric, begging for her magical gowns. She worked tirelessly day and night. The needle seemed to move on its own. Photos of her creations flooded social media. "Tailor of the gods," one post said. "Enchanted stitches," wrote another. Binta smiled as she counted her earnings. "I will open a second shop soon," she whispered to herself. On the 4th day, a government official arrived at her door. "Make me a suit," he said. "Name your price." Without hesitation, Binta agreed. On the 5th day, her hands worked faster than ever. She ignored the aches in her fingers and the faint glow starting to appear on her skin. Customers kept pouring in. The 6th day passed in a whirlwind of fame, fortune, and praise. Then came the 7th day. But Binta did not return to the river. She stared at the needle and said, "Just one more day, one more dress." She locked the needle safely in her drawer and smiled. Surely the mermaid would understand. That night, Binta dreamed of crashing waves and glowing eyes beneath the sea. When she woke, she stared at her hands in horror. Tiny webs had begun to form between her fingers. "No," she whispered. "No, no." She hurried to wash her hands and covered them with gloves. The next day, the needle felt heavier in her hand. It no longer moved smoothly through fabric, but dragged slowly. Still, she continued to sew. But with every stitch, her fingers burned. The webs grew thicker. Her nails took on a greenish tint. "Maybe I'm just tired," she told herself, forcing a smile. That evening, a customer knocked. Binta struggled to hold the fabric, her fingers stuck together. She dropped the scissors 3 times. "Are you all right?" the woman asked with concern. "I'm fine," Binta snapped, hiding her hands. her eyes fixed on the needle. It glowed softly blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. Her reflection blinked strangely in the mirror. Her skin shimmered faintly, like fish scales. Still, she refused to return the needle. "One more week," she whispered. But deep inside, fear had begun to grow. On the 8th day, the river's call came to her, not from outside, but ringing inside her ears. It whispered and hummed like a distant song. It followed her through the streets. At night, her pillow felt damp. Her dreams were filled with crashing waves and silver needles. She woke, gasping for breath. Her fingers were completely webbed now. She couldn't remove her gloves. Her skin shimmered like wet silk. Tumi, her young apprentice, noticed. "Auntie Binta, your hands look strange," she said quietly. Binta shouted, "Leave me alone." Tumi left, eyes wide with fear. Binta looked at herself in the mirror. Her pupils had narrowed like a fish's. Her lips had taken on a blue tint. The needle sang a soft, sorrowful song. "Return me," it called softly. But Binta shook her head. "I can't lose this," she said. "Not now. I've come too far." She wrapped the needle in cloth and hid it beneath the floorboards. "Out of sight, out of mind," she whispered. But the river remembered, and it was coming for her. She tried to work without the needle. She picked up a regular needle, but her hands shook, threads tangled, stitches broke. Her webbed fingers made it impossible to hold tools properly. The dresses looked ordinary. Customers complained. Some asked for their money back. "You've changed," one said. "I want a refund," demanded another. Binta panicked. That night she dug up the magical needle. It glowed cold blue. She hesitated, then took it in her hand. Warmth returned to her fingers, but the needle moved on its own. It stitched patterns Binta hadn't chosen. Fish scales, ocean waves, sea creatures. "What is happening?" she whispered. The dresses were beautiful but strange. They shimmered like water, even without light. One customer fainted trying on a dress. Another swore she heard waves crashing as she wore it. The magic was changing. Still, Binta sewed. She had already broken her promise. She was too far gone. She avoided mirrors. But on the 10th day, she caught her reflection in the shop window. Her neck was turning blue. Her jawline showed faint ridges. Her ears were long, thin, and fin-like. "No," she whispered. She ran home and locked the door. She sat on the floor, trembling. The whispers grew louder. "Return it. You broke your word." She covered her ears. "I needed it. I was nothing before." Her phone buzzed. It was Tumi. "Please give it back. This isn't you anymore." Binta threw the phone aside. She looked at her hands. They were no longer hands. They were fins, webbed and slick. Her nails had fallen off. She couldn't feel fabric anymore. Still, she reached for the needle. It floated in the air and sewed on its own. Each gown it finished took a piece of her soul. She was no longer sewing. She was being sewn. That night, as rain poured over Abuja, Binta heard a splash outside. She ran to the window. There stood the mermaid, her eyes glowing deep like the ocean. "You promised," the mermaid said softly. Binta opened the door, soaked to the bone. "Please just give me more time." "You've had your time," the mermaid replied. "The needle belongs to the river. It was never yours." Binta cried, "I will return it." She grabbed the needle, but it burned her hand like fire. "You held it too long," whispered the mermaid. "Now it holds you." Then she vanished beneath the waves. The storm grew stronger. Binta's skin began to peel, but it was quiet, not painful. Scales shimmered beneath. The next day, Binta couldn't speak. Her tongue was flat. Her nose barely worked. Her lungs felt heavy, longing for water instead of air. She closed her shop without a word. People whispered. Some said she was cursed. Others believed she joined the spirits. Tumi knocked on her door, but Binta didn't answer. Inside, she tried to write. Her webbed fingers were too wide. She couldn't hold a pen. She looked at her dresses. They shimmered cold and beautiful. She tried to burn them, but the fabric wouldn't catch. The needle floated around her, sewing even while she slept. She was losing herself. Her body and soul changed, but she refused to give up the magic. On the 12th night, Binta crawled to the river. Her legs bent like fins. Her skin glowed silver in the moonlight. She carried the needle in her mouth. Her hands no longer worked. At the riverbank, she dropped the needle into the water. "Please," she mouthed. The water shimmered. The mermaid rose again, sad. "You returned the needle," she said, "but your heart did not change." Tears ran down Binta's cheeks. "I was scared," she mouthed. "Greed always wears fear's mask," the mermaid said. She touched Binta's forehead. The world spun. Water surrounded her. She breathed underwater. She sank but did not drown. Her body moved like it belonged there. Fish swam past, unafraid. She was calm but not free. The mermaid swam beside her, silent. "You could have been great," she said. "Your hands were gifted, but your hunger was louder than your promise." Binta said nothing. Under the river, her voice was gone. That was the price. She would live, but not as herself. Above the river, Abuja moved on. Binta magical touch. Never reopened. Tumi searched for her. She asked elders, searched markets, and prayed by the river. No one had seen Binta. Some said she fled. Others believed she drowned. Few whispered the truth, that she made a deal with the spirit and broke it. Tumi kept one of Binta's last gowns. It shimmered softly like moonlight caught in cloth. She opened a small shop with her own hands. Every stitch she made, she whispered, "Let this be honest. Let this be mine." The needle was never found again. The dresses Binta left behind faded until only threads remained. Beneath the river, the mermaid waited. Some came with gold, some with promises. All came with hunger. Each time she remembered Binta, the one with talent but no patience, the one with promise but who chose shortcuts. The mermaid wept quietly beneath the waves. She had given a gift. It became a curse. She waited, holding the needle like a mother cradles a child, still glowing, still dangerous, waiting for someone who would treat it with care. Years passed. Tumi got married, had her own family. Her shop grew slowly but steadily. She taught others to sow with love, not greed. Sometimes, when the rain poured and the river wind blew, she sat near the shore and whispered, "I remember you, Binta. I still miss you." In the water, a silver fish sometimes shimmered. Tumi smiled. She knew Binta wasn't gone. She was changed, transformed by a lesson learned too late, but never forgotten. Binta wanted success quickly, and the magical needle gave it to her. But she ignored the warning and paid dearly. Lesson: be patient and build your dreams the right way. True success doesn't come from shortcuts. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please click on that subscribe button now. Turn on the notifications, so whenever I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. I really appreciate you. I do not take your support for granted. See you in my next video. Bye-bye, lovers.